A man waiting for his bail formalities to be complete to get free from jail. The bureaucratic red tapes are in progress while he awaits in silence. Back home, there have been deaths. Lives close to his heart are no more. He is aware, but he still needs to wait in silence. We have witnessed similar sequences in our cinema quite a few times, be it origin stories of angry young heroes or gritty realistic cinema that reflects our social hierarchies. And then you have a similar scenario in the second half of Kadaisi Vivasayi, the new Tamil film by M Manikandan. Well, with one major difference. The deaths back home that we mention are not of human lives, but of crops that were sown on Mayandi's land, the old man waiting to get free and return to his field. For all of you watching this video, without watching the film, this might sound absurd, and that's expected. What's unexpected is how Kadaisi Vivasayi, through its simple storytelling and honest filmmaking, leads you to this point where rotten crops and axe trees impact you as much as deaths of close to heart characters in other films. Kadaisi Vivasayi is a brilliant film, with many other similar sequences that crashes onto your brain and knocks at your heart. And in the process, it digs out a portrait of India that we belonged to only a few years back that has suddenly gone missing from our lives. We try to discuss all that and more in this video analysis of the superb film Kadaisi Vivasayi. In his earlier films like Kakamutai or Anandavan Kattalai, director M Manikandan had already raised discussions around globalization and how it limits our social belongings. While Kadaisi Vivasayi is an outstanding tribute to the farmers, the pulse of our nation, we feel it's not only about that, but a continuation of Manikandan's critique on globalization. In the previous films, the critique was through the depiction of the present-day India and its paradoxes. And in this new film, through the central character of Mayandi, the multiple supporting characters who range from real to surreal, and the entire Fable-Like setting, Manikandan reminds us how living in our part of the world used to be a simple, unhurried affair, and that we have ourselves complicated, giving into the provocations of globalization and capitalism. He reminds us of the beauty of living with just enough, bereft of the struggles of plenty. He captures the astonishment of a character watching a seedling grow in well-watered soil just to emphasize how removed our present-day existence is from such magics of nature. The villagers are awestruck when they watch the potter work on earthenware, only to suggest how our machine-dependent existence have made us forget what human hands can achieve. And as we watch Mayandi's love and care for his humble belongings, his cattle, his field, his plants, and the nature he breathes in, one feels ashamed of how we buy things, keep on increasing our cosmetic possessions, and then hardly care for what happens to most of those commodities within a few days. The film, like a true piece of art, does not push these ideas in your throat, but is a more contemplative study of what India was and what India is. This oneness with nature and our surroundings, underlining the root of our culture, oozes out of every frame of Kadaisi Vivasayi. It's the central theme for which all characters are conceived and all events eventually lead to. Say for example, Yogi Babu's character, who apparently exists for comic relief like so many other films, invests on an elephant for his earnings. He moves around the village with his elephant Kalyani and an assistant. And then, in one scene which has nothing to do with the plot involving Mayandi, we watch this assistant massaging the elephant at night as it acknowledges the care given, while Yogi Babu puts up a mosquito net for Kalyani to sleep well. It melts your heart, chokes your breath. And then you wonder, isn't it only obvious and natural that the elephant, a fellow living creature, a partner at work, will be taken care of? It's just that such basic emotions and acknowledgements are so distant in our day-to-day living that when you watch one up close, it triggers your sentiments. Kadaisi Vivasayi is a blazing tribute to such basic sentiments which are slowly receding from our lives. It is out of these basic emotions that the local magistrate cares so much for Nallandi. Nallandi is convicted on basis of false allegations of killing peacocks, our national bird. In minutes, the magistrate, played so beautifully by Dr. Rachel Rebecca Phillip, realizes Nallandi is not at fault, but the bureaucratic formalities don't let her set him free then and there. In any other film, it would have stopped at that, lamenting upon the system. But in this movie, every scene that follows makes us realize how the lady magistrate keeps on thinking about the suffering of the old man without any fault of his and uses her position to take care of him within the boundaries of the law. She isn't the rule book following government official Newton from Amit Masurkar's 2017 satire, who ensures directives are followed to the T, but fails to impact the system eventually. She is just an educated young woman who follows the spirit of the rules and not the letters of the rule book, and that simple thought process can bring such huge difference as we witness in Masurkar's latest film, Sherni. And did we just mention education? How subtly Manikandan comments on that as well, as near the end of the film we understand Nallandi cannot write his name, lacking conventional education, and then remember the maturity, understanding and knowledge of the same old man across the length of the film. The satire is clear. Now, let's go to the primary plot point of the film that works as a deceptive satire as well. Nallandi, the ultimate carer of nature, the last farmer as the title suggests, is convicted for destroying our national identity, for killing and burying peacocks, an emblem of India. And then we watch him helpless within the mesh of legal proceedings. Isn't it reminiscent of the country where farmers have been hassled, cornered and alleged for ruining the image of the nation only some time back? The more you think of this film, the layers keep on surfacing. Vijay Sethupathi's cameo as Ramaiah, the vagabond, is yet another layer that connects man to the divine, religion to spirituality. The multiple broken watches on his hand speak of timelessness, and the heavy bags he always carries is a direct metaphor for earthly baggage that weigh us down. But it is in his love and longing for his dead partner that Manikandan again goes back in his critique of our contemporary existence. Ramaiah doesn't move on after his beloved dies like almost all of us will do today. He considers she's still there by his side, which the villagers make fun of. But Nallandi has no problem in understanding. At the cost of digressing, let's bring in Shakun Batra's Gehraiya here, which we loved and consider a deceptive critique on love affairs that bloom in our capitalist existence. Couples connect over money and part away over money. And later at the end of the film, when Nasiruddin Shah's character shapes up in full, we realize the contrast between the love affairs of the past based on eternal promises and the love affairs of the present based on avenues of survival. Those self-attachments and survival strategies are what Ramaiah carries in his heavy bags until he can let them go. The scene featuring Vijay Sethupathi with the sadhu who only picks and eats food from the dump yard demands a separate video to discuss its multiple metaphorical subtexts. Or perhaps, like in life or poetry, the best things are to be left unexplained so as to not smear the beauty in logical analysis. We leave the magic for you to witness and absorb. So, when in the climax of the film, the last farmer, our Kadaisi Vivasayi, is joined in his field by other spirited villagers, the magistrate with empathy, the police constable, and Kalyani the elephant, that small field transforms into India. India that was envisioned in our constitution, that we have lost in reality. Can you imagine that field being blocked to anyone based on religion, caste, costume, or past deeds? The constable who arrested Nallandi is welcome, as is this poor fellow who poisoned the crops earlier by mistake. And guess what? It is the magistrate, the government official, who orders to get them all together to relive Nallandi's fate. India that was. The teary-eyed magistrate, the evident lump in her throat, becomes the reality for us, the audience, by this point, as we then go into a scene of villagers celebrating the local deities. Religion bereft of institutionalized commandments that connects humans and not drifts them apart. religion that's a reflection of nature and are embracing traditions. We cannot thank enough director M Manikandan, Vijay Sethupathi, who also money rolls the film, and the entire cast and crew for the shelter of a film which soothes while we continue to counter the scorching heats of capitalism and fundamentalism every single day. Team Kadaisi Vivasayi, take a bow. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, please give it a like, share and subscribe our content. Thanks again.